Cal game, you talked about wanting to get Jamar in there for a series and kind of get his feet wet playing. But obviously in this last game, you had a decision on who to play. Why play Jamar before you played Rhett in that ball?
Well, we went into the game saying that he was going to play. And, you know, I said that last week, trying to get him ready to go. Rhett had a good week of practice also. I think environment-wise and where that game was a little bit different situation for a true freshman on the road at night, knowing that Khalil was not coming back. So knowing that probably we were going to have to play both he and Rhett with the experience based on the situation of you know, where we were and the environment. So, you know, I thought Red came in a 2-minute drill situation, which he had been used to, and moved us down the field and gave him the right to start the second half. And then when we came back for the second half, he continued to move the ball. So, you know, I thought he did a nice job in a very, very difficult situation, being down, being on the road. And he looked very, very comfortable and poised throughout that time. So, you know, there wasn't an opportunity to get, well, I guess there was an opportunity, but I just felt like Rhett was doing as good a job as anybody could do at that point, and he continued to play.
Where do things stand with Khalil as far as his health and availability for this week?
Don't know yet.
What's sort of the plan or timetable to figure out? Is it going to go take it all the way through the week, or do you want to make a call on that? You know,
I'd like to do it early. Obviously, everybody would like to do it the earlier the better, you know. But you know, we've got to have a plan for both sides of that, both issues. So, obviously, he's better when he practices. You know, we've got going through the week. He felt pretty good, but we can't keep going with this thing getting tweaked in 2 series and he's out of the game. So, you know, medically, and as I said Saturday, you know, he looked to me like he couldn't hardly hand the ball off. That's why I got him out. And, you know, to move around, there's a player safety issue to me. So we're never going to put anybody in harm's way. We'll discuss that with our medical team and everything else. But obviously, for everybody involved, the earlier that we can make a decision, the better.
Is it any factor whatsoever that he's going home and he might, I don't know, try to
No.
campaign to play? Not at all?
No.
With Lee Anderson's performance defensively, how can he be better in that defensive end position there? It seemed like he got blocked down a lot and was having trouble holding that edge.
Yeah, you know, it's it can be technique issues. I think, you know, the really interesting part is your analysis is pretty much pretty accurate, and then 2 weeks previous, and he couldn't be blocked, right? So he's having the game of his life, or 3 weeks before that. And so, you know, sometimes personnel has something to do with that, and you know, we have to do a better job if that's not working, or if we're not putting him in a position where 3 weeks ago he was successful in those same situations. So that could be a number of reasons. But at a certain point, it's like we talked about in a game like that, there are going to be one-on-one battles that you have to win. And whether it was on the perimeter with our playing man-to-man against our receivers, where it's up front with one at a certain point in games, in all games, but in certain games like that, it gets down to, regardless of scheme, it gets down to one-on-one battles, and we lost a lot of them Saturday night.
Is Lathan's situation somewhat similar to Khalil's in that maybe he feels well enough during the week, but then in the game he keeps tweaking it, and how do you kind of address that?
I'm not sure about that. You know, that's you know, obviously everybody's seen him having trouble pushing off and limping around. So, you know, we've you know, like I said, our medical people do all the evaluations, and then it gets down to, some of these guys like to play football too, and for some of them like Lath, he's already sat out 3 games at the beginning of the year, and so the clock's ticking on him, and it's as a coach you understand that a guy really wants to play, but you also understand that he can be a liability if he's playing like that to himself and to the team, and that's the part you struggle with as a coach, because that's the human element of a guy really wants to do something, and physically he can't, and time's running out. So it's that's something that we go through with our medical staff during the week.
What would be
Excuse me.
on those short yardage situations, kind of in the second half, there were several situations where you guys kind of bunched receivers to the short side of the field. What's maybe the advantage in that? What do you maybe try to look for?
Well, it was an unbalanced set, some of them were, and to really get the defense shifted over into the boundary and be able to come back to the field, which we were able to get some success. The quarterback runs a little bit earlier. They changed their scheme. But we've utilized some of that, the trips bunch and trips into the boundary since week 1, and not primarily the bunch set, but just 3 receivers into the boundary. The bunch set was because of all the man-to-man press that you had. So the clustering of the receivers gave an opportunity to bring 3 guys over there into the boundary, but also if we wanted to get them loose, they're already kind of in a rub situation right there instead of being spread out.
I guess when you look at short yardage and 4th and 1, I guess the old philosophy was let's line up 9 guys and run the football.
Right.
Is that archaic? At this point, is that an archaic way of thinking about football?
No, I don't think it's archaic. I think a lot of people see it that way. But I think if it's something that you're not doing on a regular basis, it becomes in this game, the more people that you brought in there, the more they brought in there. And it was even, in those other, we were having a hard time running the ball, period. Unless we were getting to the perimeter, either with quarterback runs. And once we did do that, JJ split a couple runs. So, schematically where we are, with Saturday night with a line that was not the same. We were moving guys around. You want to put Gary in, but as a bigger back, is our biggest back right now that's available. But he's, that JJ's doing all he can. So, the success of our short yardage has not been what we needed it to be. And, we, as you said, schematically, that's something that we're working on, but it's certainly got to be better. And, the combination of where we are and how many 4th downs we've gone for that we haven't gotten. Now, we've gotten a bunch early in the year, but, last Saturday night, we didn't get them. And we went for it probably more times than we've gone in a while, just because of the score.
Sort of a similar topic, but there's been a lot of talk about the 3rd down defense, but your 3rd down offense has kind of trailed off the last few games.
Yes.
Is there anything that you've noticed, a pattern or something that's popped out to you about that situation, 3rd down offense?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, statistically, it's for us, we have a goal every week of 40% or more, right? And so we've hovered right around that up until the last 2 weeks. And when that happens, a lot of people think about, well, there's a lot of different things that are involved in that. First of all, it's the down and distance. Is it 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3 and 4, or is it 3rd and 9? And we get a lot of different things on long yardage. It's you think about it being the quarterback throwing the ball, but you got to have protection. You've got to have receivers on the right page at the right depth. Running good routes. So, we were good at the beginning of the year. The last couple weeks, we have not reached our goal, and it's shown up with us getting off the field and being not making 3rd downs and putting our defense back on the field quickly.
One of the bright spots of the game the other night is 3 of your non-senior receivers, Cedric,
Sid.
Devon, and Stanley. They combined for 11 catches for 150 yards. What have you seen out of those?
Well, you know, it's you know, Cedric's been steady all year. He just hasn't. It's a little bit like some of the like Bryce. You know, the fact that he just hadn't had as many targets as these other guys, and based on the scheme and what they tried to do defensively, you know, we knew that some other receivers had to win their one-on-one battles and step their game up because, you know, Poindexter's been established now, and you know, when you're in these games, you know, it takes everybody. So Cedric's been playing well all year. I mean, he's been blocking like crazy. He's been doing all the other things that have gotten other people open and created long runs. But, you know, it's like anything else. It's the guy who gets the most credit is the guy with the statistics, and he had those, a touchdown, and made some big catches. You know, Stanley is from, you know, a walk-on to earning a scholarship this fall. You know, he's a young guy, and he continues to get better. And Coop is, you know, he's finally getting healthy. I mean, he missed a bunch of two-a-days at fall camp with that ankle, really this summer too. So, you know, you're into week 7 or so now into the season where he's been practicing for the last couple months. You know, you can see that he showed, you know, some real burst Saturday night that we hadn't seen out of him all year, which is a good sign because we need him. So, yeah, those young guys came in and did a pretty nice job, and they're gonna need to keep getting better. But you know, what you did see was some quickness, some burst, and some guys that I think, you know, have a bright future.
How do you balance kind of wanting to assess the roster, maybe some younger guys, the rest of the season, with also trying to win every game?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. So that's exactly right. That's, you know, that's been the discussion since Sunday. So, and be honest with you, in some positions, it's not balancing the roster because in some positions that's all we got, right? So, you know, we've got, you see those young guys playing at receiver. You see, you know, the O-line is in that fashion, you know, and so, you know, in a few positions, you know, we're getting thin. We're thin at D-line or D-end because of the two guys that are out. But at some of these positions, it's roster management, but it's also the depth that we have right now.
Talk to your defensive guys about being in control and not getting out of control. There were several instances where it looked like guys had a chance to make, you know, tackles for losses or sacks, and they just were out of control trying to get to the offensive player. How do you counsel on that?
Well, you know, that's a double-edged sword because guys are playing hard, right? But you know, you have to, you know, you have to play with balance. You have to play with intensity. You know, what is that? You know, and how do you balance that? Well, those things didn't show up the last couple weeks because of it was more than one person to the ball. Does that make sense? And so when it was still going on, but we're forcing quarterbacks and forcing running backs to do some other things, and other people were there. Many times Saturday night, it was only one guy. And once that happened, the quarterback or the running back got out. It was the same intensity, same guys. You know, you're either flying up the field trying to get to the ball carrier, or you're trying to contain them, or both, or you have people in both those situations. So, you know, to me, the biggest difference was there were more one-on-one situations than there have been in the last couple of weeks when we've been successful on defense, where maybe that happened, but there was more population to the ball.
How important is this week for recruiting, and how is the staff going to kind of approach it?
Every week's important in recruiting. So, you know, there's every week has been important. So, you know, it's the same. We've approached it all year. So nothing's going to change for us in our approach in recruiting and our contacts and you know, phone calls and things like that.
What does staff going to be around LA Friday night?
Yeah, yeah.
More than halfway through your first season here at Arizona, how would you describe how the experience has been so far?
Well, people have been great in Tucson. I mean, it's awesome. You know, like I still get welcome to Tucson, even though I got here in January. So, you know, it's you know, and our student section and has been awesome. The people have been great. You know, but you know, this is we got a young team, and you know, we've got to continue to get better. I think you know, the things that we just talked about with some seniors and some of our veteran players who've been nicked up this year, and the consistency level of personnel to put on the field has been a challenge. But you know, that's football, and so you know, for us, you know, player development is going to be a big piece in the off season. I think, as you just talked about, recruiting is a big deal, which is going on year round. But certainly to keep improving as a team and put product on the field that this whole city can be very, very happy with is our goal. And it has to do with our current players and recruiting to do that. And you know, that's you know, I misunderstood your question earlier. It's like, is this week big for recruiting? Yeah, every week's big for us in recruiting. So, but I get what you're saying about LA. Yeah, we'll have coaches out, but for us, you know, that's all one piece. You know, games, player development, student athlete welfare, and you know, and recruiting. Oh, that's how you build a program.
What immediate improvements are you seeing with UCLA?
I think the biggest difference that I saw statistically is their jump in turnover margin. Right, early in the year they were one of the bottom teams in the league. These last couple of weeks have really, I mean, you watch the games. They're what are they, +4 now, right, over the year. And I think they were negative early in the year, a little bit like us. So, you know, they've been really impressive. You know, the two everybody, you know, you want to talk about last week, but the week before, you know, they're a one-score game with Washington because of their turnover ratio and how they handled it. They go on the road to a team that's red hot and get that win. So, you know, they have the last 2 weeks they've played impressive football.
Unlike the previous opponents this year, you do have some familiarity with UCLA. Can you take anything out of your game against them last year, considering the coaching change, personnel changes, etc.?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's a different coach, right? If anything, there's some familiarity there, but that also means there's familiarity with us, because as he was last year, Chip was kind of going around doing some things and came to A&M and stayed for a couple 3 days. So, you know, he was going to a lot of different places to talk football. So yeah, there's some things there that there's, as I said, familiarity goes both ways in those types of situations, and you know, but yeah, it'll be interesting.
What was your reaction when UCLA hired Chip?
Good for him. I think that's exactly what I told him. So, you know, I didn't know what he was going to do. Like I said, he came to our place. He'd been to see a couple other different people, but I thought that was great. I think he's a great fit for them, and he was excited to be there. So, you know, so that was, like I said, it was congratulations.
What's the biggest change?
Huh?
What made him a good fit for the Bruins?
Well, I just think, you know, it was time. I think he, you know, he's his personality, and you know, I know that he was excited about the beach too. So, which is different than a Northeast guy. So but I just think it's a good fit. I think it's, you know, he's great for the league. He's just, you know, he's a guy that's very, very football. He's a very smart guy, and you know, he's been around a lot of different places. But you can't argue with, you know, what he did at Oregon and how he did it, really in pretty dominant fashion for a little bit. And, you know, so I know he's excited to be back in college football and be back on the West Coast.
One more question.
What's the biggest change from the SEC to the Pac-12 that you've seen so far?
You know, I don't know. You know, I'll probably answer that at the end of the year because we're just halfway through a Pac-12 season, right? So, you know, we've played a few games, but you know, we haven't seen most of a lot of these teams in the league. So, get to see them on video, but like I told you, video is a lot different than in person, and you know, so it's one thing is one big difference is getting home at 3 o'clock in the morning. All right.